Just Ask the Universe by Michael Summers. Chapter 1. Getting Here. The universe has been at your command every day of your life. Most people have this idea all mixed up. They believe they are at the mercy of the universe. This isn't a part of their life. They believe there is nothing they can do about what happens to them. Nonsense. The total opposite is the truth. The universe is completely at your beck and call. It is gracious and complain to you and will constantly respond to your request. It's your universe and you can grasp it at any time to attain whatever you please. I know that sounds far-fetched, but I have actually witnessed miraculous events in my life that I wouldn't have thought were possible at the time. I wrote them down, but these wishes really come true, and I certainly believe none of them came about by happenstance. These were not false, as I have learned through experiencing life labor pain. The universe will give you anything you want, both the pleasurable and the painful. You can manipulate the universe however you please, but there are laws and rules you must obey. For me, I can tell you quite frankly that I wasn't born with this positive mental attitude. I had to learn these beliefs. I originally believed our existence on Earth was just a random roll of the dice. I felt people entered and left my life with no lessons to be learned. I felt that if you couldn't see it, if you didn't exist, I didn't think there was anything past my square box. I would listen to interviews of wealthy or famous people and hear them all talk about their universe. I may have been hearing the sounds of their voices, but I wasn't listening to their hidden message. Personally believed anyone who had anything to do with spirituality was batty. I once watched a biography about a famous comedian, and he said he had signed a check on his father's funeral for $20 million and he buried him with it. He said was going to earn that one day and ended up making some of the finest movies ever. And he eventually earned $20 million per picture. I believed it was a pure luck. During an interview with a famous actor, rapper, the journalist asked him how he had gotten to be so famous at such a young age and how he managed to marry one of the most famous pop singers in the world. He simply answered, I asked the universe. I thought this was just another multimillionaire brat who was in the right place in the right time. I honestly thought these people were out of their minds. After all, they were worth several millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Stayed in the luxurious hotels, lived in a multi-million dollars homes, and could eat or go anywhere they desired at any time of the year. Boy, was I naive. Of course, I wanted everything they had, except maybe the fame. and it would be nice to get everything I wanted. What made them different from me? For the majority of my life, I was pretty close minded. I always wanted people to hear my opinion, but when it came time to listening to them, I I could have cared less. This book didn't come to this book didn't come to realization by my actions of continuing to be close-minded. As a matter of fact, I made a complete reversal in my way of thinking years back. It took me some time, but I learned that these wealthy people had complete control over their minds. Looking back, what now seems like ages ago, I spent a few years stuck in my oppressive and hurtful relationship. I did manage to break myself free of this unhealthy situation. However, I wasn't sleeping and constantly pondered what went wrong. It was easier to blame everyone else around me, point fingers, and say that the relationship was ruined because of others, than to take responsibility for my actions. Boy, what a loser! Looking back and dissecting where I went wrong with my attitude, I learned that what I was doing was merely discipline my feelings. I had to learn that I must essentially see the truth and everything, no matter how bleak things looked back then. I was about to enter a passage in my life that transformed everything about my reality. The flower bloomed. Night, I saw an infomercial for Anthony Robbins' Personal Power 2 program. I went, I wanted to change, but didn't believe in buying the snake oil. Here was a guy who lived in a castle in California, earning hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And there I was, living in my parents' house, my lying on my unmade bed, criticizing Tony and belittling his success. I was judged beyond belief. Yet I still mustered up that courage to buy the program. Within 30 days, my entire perception of his world altered. My thought process was informed that the Personal Power 2 program awakened my thirst to self improvement. There was one turning point in the program in particular that has stuck with me to this day. On or about day 14, the program Tony asks you to list your goals, personal development goals, things goals, and financial goals. At the time of listening the program, I followed Tony's orders and I wrote down everything I wanted in life. My goals covered wide gamut from the type of person I wanted to be perceived among my family and peers to the relationship I wanted to attract into my life. I listed the way I wanted to travel, the home I wanted to own, and the number of sales I wanted my family owned business to earn per year. My pen didn't stop for 2 hours. I got engrossed in writing down as much as I could. I will never forget those 2 hours of my life. They are among those rare times that you think about constantly that make you smile inwardly. I know, I know a lot of people have had such moments, and this was one of mine. After I had wrote down everything I desired, my perception changed instantly. I went about my life with brand new outlook. My new positive mental attitude was not just about accomplishing an objective, but about the value of life I learned on this new road. Tony teaches me that getting everything you want on your list by itself it can never make you completely happy in the long term because that is not what life about. Someone could say, I want $1 million and receive it, but that person will never be fulfilled if he or she doesn't learn one crucial lesson. It's who you become as a person that matters. I know a lot of very wealthy people who seems to have everything whose circumstances would make any other person elated. Yet they are absolutely miserable. None of their none of their things make them happy because they are not happy with themselves. I was finally able to open my mind and listen to someone smarter than I was. I knew after my 30 days with Tony, I could conquer the barriers necessary to get everything I desired. That lesson alone gave me a permanent feeling of my accomplishment. A few years after my 30 days with Tony, the time came for me to move from my parents' house and settle down. I committed myself to a new girlfriend and was decided ourselves to getting married. This relationship was complete opposite of the one I had attracted into my life just a few years earlier. I had finally found someone who loved me for me. I found the most perfect home in New York, my future wife, and I moved into the perfect home on the same day. We got married within 1 year of living together. As I continued to clean out my old room in my parents' house, I came across my personal power notebook from a few years back earlier. With a big smile on my face, I flipped through the pages and found the page with the new longest list. I began to read the list of everything I had wanted to achieve a few years back. After reading the first sentence, I cupped my hands over my mouth to stifle and scream of what I have written down just a few years earlier. 20% have had come true, from my desire about the way I was perceived among my family and friends to the details of my wife's characteristics and the home I wanted to own. I swear, if someone didn't know me, they will have said that I've written down that the same day. In just over a couple of years, I had achieved particularly everything on my list. What the heck has transpired? What the most personal power goal setting workshop manifest everything into my life. I mean, there I was, a normal guy from an average home, and had written down I wanted to fly on a private plane, my own pilots to my command. Back in the day, when I was thinking this idea, it seems light years away from the life I knew due to unanticipated circumstances. I ended up flying on a Citation X, the world's fastest private plane, just 3 years after writing it down. And most amazing part was I had no memory even of writing this desire down. Further down my list, I wrote in details about the type of woman I wanted in my life. This is what I wrote. I wanted to attract a woman who is marriageable, gracious, loyal, and faithful. I wanted to attract a woman who matches me perfectly, mentally, spiritually, and physically. I want to attract a woman who does not want to make me over and whom I do not want to make over. There is a mutual love, freedom, and respect between us. I wanted to marry a woman with a laid back attitude. She is 5 feet 9 inches tall, and this is the same religion as me. She will love me for who I am, in spite of my flaws. I wanted to propose to this attractive woman in front of the Bellagio Fountain in Las Vegas. I wanted to get married to this woman in Las Vegas. I wanted to have a healthy and happy child who was born during the summer. At the time I was writing all this, I was seriously hurting from that decimal relationship I had just gotten out of. While I was writing, I believed there was no way it could possibly come true. I thought to myself, who would want to get himself into another relationship after what I just went through, right? I kid you not when I say 3 years after I wrote everything down. I attracted a woman who possesses everything characteristics I listed. We are on the same page mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. She loves me and I love her unconditionally. I have a child with her who was born in the middle of the summer. And yes, I did propose to her in front of Bellagio Fountain. We get married in Vegas and she is 5 feet 9 inches and of the same religion. I couldn't make this stuff up. This was a pure magic. And the most fascinating part was that between my breakup and meeting my future wife, I was basically going about my daily life as these events were occurring. I did not remember that I had written them down previously. There was a massive effort on my part never to think or believe on the way I had before. I made a promise to myself the old patterns of my behaviors had departed. My new actions propelled me to get everything I want. Finding more answers. After reading my list, I knew there was something bigger there. I then realized I hadn't asked for enough. I mean, how did this all work? I could not believe this was some cosmetic gamble and I had randomly attracted to all that into my life. I wanted to dig deeper. I would not take this lightly and could not for 1 second believe it was a coincidence. I felt like I had learned the meaning of life in this 1 minute I spent reading my personal power journal. I got hungry for self empowerment program and literally read everything I could get my hands on when it came to self improvement and obtaining everything you desire. I come across Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. I read the book and watched the movie within a day. The law of attraction, as Rhonda explains, states that if you think positive thoughts, those thoughts will be back attracted to you. And if and in act of gratitude, you will gratefully get everything you desire. Pretty genius. There is nothing to dispute. Every single word is true. Although The Secret was a powerful book that opened up a new doors for me, I want to continue searching. I knew that successful people aren't born that way.